Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so it's been less than 24 hours, at least as I'm recording this video, and what's on my mind and what I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks is whether or not the Democrats are going to have learned their lesson. I mean, you would think getting smoked in the popular vote and losing in an epic landslide fashion after spending more than $1 billion trying to get your candidate elected, with every celebrity coming out of the woodworks to promote her in this promotion frenzy that we've never seen before, you would think that within that context, after losing, that it would be time to reflect, to think, time to learn a lesson, improve, change, and move forward. Yeah, you probably get exactly where I'm going with this. The Democrats have learned nothing. After losing this election in spectacular fashion, mostly due to the empty messaging and hyperfixation on race and gender identity in general, you would think that it would be time to maybe stop with the identity politics, but instead, what are the Democrats doing? They're doubling down pretty much just as expected. Instead of blaming themselves, they're blaming identity groups. White women did this to us. Latino men and black men did this to us. You know, I want to say I'm shocked, but I'm really not. The left has learned nothing, and this toxic political culture, I guess, continues. Let's have a conversation about that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So we know exactly why Kamala Harris lost this election. I think it's quite clear. But according to the ladies at The View, according to Sunny Hostin at least, apparently we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Yeah, Kamala Harris didn't lose because she was an inauthentic candidate, because her policies were horrible and she didn't really connect with people. She didn't lose because she was trying to play the race card or the woman card. She lost because of race and gender. She lost because people are just racist and misogynist. It's actually unbelievable, honestly. But of course, what it really is, what it continues to be, is an insult to the American voter. You know, is there some element of misogyny? Yeah, to a certain extent, but I don't think that's the major factor here. I think a lot of people would be willing to vote for a female candidate, so long as that female candidate isn't someone like Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton. You know, it seems to be just going right over their head. They just don't get it. The problem is substance or lack thereof. It's actually unbelievable. You guys spent months running this ridiculous campaign that never even told the American people what you actually stood for. All you did was say, vote for us if you're Puerto Rican because this comedian made a joke about Puerto Ricans. Vote for us if you're a woman because you literally have to. These Democrats ran campaign ads telling women to vote behind their husbands' backs. They demonized men for months and basically tried to set the standard that if you vote for anybody but a Democrat as a woman, you're crazy. You must hate yourself. What kind of messaging is that? It's the exact same thing Joe Biden did with black voters back in 2020.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
What a ridiculous, condescending message. The lack of self-awareness is unbelievable, and honestly, I think this is just the start, because it seems as though Democrats are doubling down, and let me show you exactly what I mean.
We've laid out the stakes in this crucial election, where one side stands for freedom, while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely, a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy, but also white-ruled South Africa before Mandela and the black majority took control, or Vladimir Putin's Russia, Viktor Orban's Hungary, or Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela today, that suppresses the rights of women and minorities. Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not. That is what it appears happened in that state, is that if you can't flip enough white women, and we've talked about this on this set numerous times, is that you have a state where you've got a 6-week abortion or a 12-week abortion. I think theirs might be 12 weeks. Yep. But it's a state where women lost their reproductive rights, where there was a very heavy push to get women to focus on not putting in place, re-electing, putting back into the White House the person who was responsible for taking those rights away and restoring them. But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris, a fellow woman.
I just say, Rev, really quickly, too, Democrats need to be mature, and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. It's misogyny from Hispanic men.
Right.
It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them. Might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman as president of the United States. A lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
A lot
and
of,
with other Hispanics. You
and,
got some
exactly.
that don't like each other. And some of the most misogynist things I've heard going on this Get Out the Vote tour came from black men. I mean, misogynist things. So you're absolutely right. It's not simplistic.
Let's be honest about this, okay? Let's be absolutely blunt about it. There were appeals to racism in this campaign, and there is racial bias in this country, and there is sexism in this country. And anybody who thinks that that did not in any way impact on the outcome of this race is wrong.
Can you imagine a woman of color acting like Donald Trump acted, even for one day? The kinds of stuff that he said, the kinds of things that he did, the way that he would insult people. If you're a person of color, you don't feel you have that freedom. You feel like you really are somewhat constrained. You're always running something in the back of your mind like, how am I going to be perceived? And also, if I say this, will they think that all black people are this way or all women are this way? So there's a license that he had to just be a fool, just to be an obnoxious ass to everyone. And for people to go, well, he can still be president.
You know, in my view, I think things are going to continue to get worse for the Democrats. This election was a resounding repudiation, a total rejection of identity politics as a concept in general. And the response from Democrats is, you didn't vote for us because you're a misogynist or you're a racist. It is completely insane. I mean, this election wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. It was worse than 2016. You guys lost the popular vote and your first reaction is to blame everybody but yourselves. They've lost the plot. I mean, frickin' newsflash, when you lose this bad, it's probably due to a fundamental strategic misstep. This strategy, this rhetoric just doesn't work. I mean, remember the lead up to this election, right? Remember that J.Ann Seltzer poll, the Des Moines, Iowa Register poll, that was telling us that the female vote was going to deliver the White House to Kamala Harris. That was the narrative, right? There was such resounding anger, such a backlash from female voters, that even Iowa, an R+10 state in terms of registration, a ruby red, crystal red Republican state, even that was in play. In fact, it was flipping for Kamala Harris. That was the narrative. Then what ended up happening? White women turned out for Donald Trump. If that right there isn't proof that the strategy isn't working, then I don't know what is. Despite all the gaslighting and all the fake narrative building, despite all the faux outrage and the attempt to drum up emotions and drive women to the polls on the message of this great existential threat that they face if the orange man is elected, white female voters voted for Trump. It's over. It's a rejection of what the Democrats have been doing. People are sick of this toxic nonsense. These accusations of misogyny and racism, putting people in particular groups not getting elected on ideas, but rather getting elected by simply saying, women for Kamala, Latinos for Kamala, black voters for Kamala. Vote based on your identity. It's no way to run an election, and frankly, it's no way to act as an adult in the public sphere of conversation and ideas. Enough is enough. Enough with this substanceless garbage. And I'm just hoping that we could get back to having real conversations again, talking about actual policy. But I'm just not sure if the Democrats are ready to have that conversation just yet. It certainly doesn't seem like it. You know, maybe they're just venting. Maybe they're just in shock as once again the polls were wrong. All I know is that the Democrat Party needs a facelift at this point. They need a full-on overhaul of the party, total reform, because obviously what they're doing isn't working. But it doesn't seem as if they're ready to have that conversation yet. I guess they're in the delusion phase. They haven't quite accepted reality just yet. But who knows, maybe one day they'll be able to get there. Maybe all they need is a couple more red wave, red tsunamis, a couple more Trumpian-style electoral landslides to finally wake up. It's crazy that I'm even suggesting that. You would think losing the popular vote would be enough after all the years of screeching that the Electoral College must be abandoned. The popular vote, the popular vote. You would think after all that this would be the wake-up call they needed, but apparently not. How utterly absurd. The Democrats have learned nothing. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.